Yes, it is. It's a Monday, and what you're seeing right there is a little inside look from Strohauer Farms is potatoes, right?
That got garbled.
They're plucking potatoes right now, and it's a Monday again. Alongside of Jay Parker and Brian Freeman, I'm Greg Hollenbach. We've got a big show for you. It's August 24th, and thank you for joining us. It must be 2 p.m. in the Mile High City because that's when the Modern Eater Show is on the air. Big day tomorrow for us, boys. You see those potatoes?
Yes, sir.
What are they for?
They are for the Summer Dinner Series tomorrow at Pizza Republica.
It's week 7, right?
Yep.
Okay, Jay, who's week 7?
Week 7 is the butcher, formerly known as Chef Justin Brunson.
You can't get his food anywhere, man. Old Major, not his anymore. Chef Amos Watts, right?
The 5th string.
Justin Brunson, exclusively River Bear American Meats. It's going to be a pleasure for this sold-out evening at the well-appointed, spacious Pizza Republica downtown. Man, I am looking so forward to it. It's going to be a hot one, but we'll cool down with some delicious drinks. We've got a great distillery coming with us for Distillery 291, Joyride Brewing Company. We've got Carboy Winery. It's all's well in the world. We'll step off smartly tomorrow at 6:30 p.m., and that's where our happy hour will begin, and then dinner at 7 p.m. I'm really looking forward to that. In the meantime and in between time, later on in the show, Brian, Amber Strohauer will join us via Zoom.
Yeah, nice. I know she's down in hot Texas and not having as much fun as she would be up in here in Colorado. She's bummed she can't get to see the Summer Dinner Series or even be there, but we're going to have her live at the dinner via Zoom so you guys get to see what Colorado Potatoes is all about.
All right, here's a treat. Let's introduce our guest right now. Robert Thompson joins us, and he's got a new project. He's doing the Thompson Growth Group. You might know Robert, formerly known as the CEO and I believe chairman of Punch Bowl Social. He resigns his positions at Punch Bowl Social, and he will move forward. He joins us now. Robert Thompson, welcome to the Modern Eater Show. Good to see you.
Hey, guys. Thanks for having me on.
Absolutely. A lot to talk about, right? Here we are, mid-pandemic. Business is really interesting. We've got the best of the best that come on the show, Robert, and we just like to kick around, hey, how does it look out there? Last week, Chef Troy Gard on the show, he was visibly worried, right? Visibly worried about the future. You've been quoted to say a couple of things. Right now, the real devastation of the restaurant industry is yet to come. First of all, let's just start out with that sentence, and then we'll just kind of look to see. We'll go down Punch Bowl Social, and then we'll touch on the new project, the Thompson Growth Group. But talk about the overall sentiment of the restaurant industry right now, if you would.
Yeah, sure. Right now, a lot of restaurant groups are being artificially propped up by PPP funds, and for a while there, enhanced or amplified unemployment. So the PPP funds were providing liquidity for the businesses to either pay rent or pay employees. And the amplified unemployment was putting liquidity into the economy through people. And with the unemployment ratcheting back down and the PPP funds, the forgiveness period of PPP expiring this fall for most restaurants or restaurant groups that accepted it, that artificial structure is going to disappear, and restaurants are going to start to fall. And I only say that because I want people to understand that there's still a lot of support that restaurants need out there. If you think your local, brew pub or coffee shop is doing great because it's still open, wait until about October 5th when they don't have that free liquidity from the government to support them anymore. That's when we're going to start to see restaurants actually close their doors permanently.
You know what? I'm right there with you, lock, stock, and barrel with pretty much everything you said there. I've been saying that right now, with that infusion of fiat currency from the federal government, without anything exchanging hands, a good or a service exchanging hands, and then inflating what is out there, that hyperinflation will kick in at some point. When businesses start figuring out, do I need to sell a $30 cheeseburger to stay in business? And it's going to get really interesting out there right now. Punch Bowl Social, in particular, going from $120 million to a screeching halt zero, how could anybody survive in that environment, right?
Yeah, I think that we sort of had some complicated circumstances add to our situation. We might have had a puncher's shot at making it as a company. The brand will prevail. I want to be clear. The brand will be here for a long time, and I'm glad I believe that to be a true statement, and it makes me happy. I mean, I founded that company and I created the concept model, and I like to think I left a permanent stamp on the entertainment category. But the company will go through a reorganization of sort, whether it's judicial or just some other type of asset cleanse.
When building the company, what was your mindset? Obviously, I mean, okay, let's start here. Could a Punch Bowl Social survive if, say, the new normal is what we're looking at right now, a social distancing, that COVID takes form in different ways and it continues on into the future? Is a Punch Bowl Social environment viable to the world we live in right now?
Well, punch bowls have outsized cubic footage, right? So it's a safe indoor environment. It's one of the safer restaurant environments you can be in a COVID state. But it's not just the physical distancing that's an issue. It's some of the other restrictions that make it hard for a punch bowl or any entertainment brand to survive, and that's the 10 o'clock last calls, the fact that in entertainment, typically 35 to 55% of the revenue comes from corporate events. And with those being a zero at the moment and losing an entire day part by having to close at 10 p.m. because, punch bowls are active until 1:30 in the morning. So with those constraints, no, they couldn't make it if this were a permanent state.
Take us through the growth. I find it fascinating, just starting with a concept. Do you mind just going through soup to nuts on really how you developed the concept and then really just building off of it? And as a entrepreneur, a lot of times is how do you grow past your own certain imagination? How do you get good people around you, and how do you infuse money as well to realize the overall dream? Do you mind kind of just taking us through the steps of the process?
Sure, happy to. It's actually a little bit of a foreshadowing of what I'm doing with Thompson Growth Group, because I'm ideating new concepts, and so happy to take you how it worked at Punch Bowl. I like to start with understanding who my customer is, who's my target customer, and then I go deep into their psychographic. And so for Punch Bowl, it is millennials. And then in the last 3 years, it's been increasingly also Gen Z. And so from ground zero, or from genesis of creating a concept, I like to think about, as I'm building, designing it, creating menus, I'm always reflecting it off of the data that's available with respect to my core audience. Once I feel like I've dialed that in, I've got the design menus, and the authenticity is palpable. Then I move on to my real estate strategy, and I think what's the ecosystem where this thing thrives? Like where do I put this thing so that it reaches full blossom? And so it starts with those two elements, and then somewhere along the way I start bleeding into the economics, and that's a relationship between the real estate decisions and how much capital it costs to launch each new location, and then you start to get into the real boring stuff, which is, okay, what's my annualized return on cash for the investment, and then trying to figure out all of those dynamics that make it work. Now, if you get all those right, you can raise capital. You can go find more growth capital. And for Punch Bowl, we were able to capitalize it through retail capital along the way, just a capital syndicate. And then in 2017, I was able to bring in the first institutional round of capital with L. Catterton, which is a premier private equity group out of Connecticut. And then in 2019, I replaced Catterton with a strategic partner in Cracker Barrel, not because Cracker Barrel added anything to Punch Bowl, but because they needed growth. They're a publicly traded company. Before COVID, they were a $3 billion market cap. And we provided growth, and we provided access to a customer base of urban millennials that they don't have access to. So the puzzle pieces fit well together for that transaction, and they were eventually going to buy the entire company.
There were a lot of steps in there. Robert, and we're geeks of this, so I want to go a little bit slow, and I'll bet you Brian's got a question too, and I do as well. Robert Thompson here with us. We've yet to talk about Thompson Growth Group. You're going to want to stick around and talk and hear about the future of that. Resigns as CEO of Punch Bowl Social, and we're kind of just going through the steps, but I want to go back just to that first property. First of all, the first property was where? Is that the one on Broadway?
Yep. First and Broadway.
First and Broadway. And what year was that born?
I signed the lease in 2010, and we didn't get it open until 2012. We had asbestos along the way. It was just, some people forget that I founded Punch Bowl during the Great Recession. So I'm actually a believer that great things can come from crisis. And so raising capital during the Great Recession was a challenge, but we got it done, and we ended up, sort of defining a category as a result.
Did you see that first store, that first location as just a one and done, and that was your stopping point? Was that your vision to begin with that, or did you always build to scale?
Prior to Punch Bowl, I built everything to be just one-off concepts customized for the location that they were in. Punch Bowl is the first business that I founded that I designed it for growth. So Punch Bowl, from the first moment that it was an acorn in my mind, I was processing it to be a growth concept.
All right, here's what I really like it. Right now in the process of really kind of doing the same thing with the modern eater, and scaling and procedures are a very difficult thing, as you well know. In the midst of just finished with the book Traction. I don't know whether you've gotten into that book or not. Traction's a great book.
Someone else recommended it to me recently, so
is that
sounds
right?
like I need to.
Well, it sounds like you could probably write a book like that. But when you were building Punch Bowl Social, did you build it? You mentioned that you built it to scale. What were some of the things that you had to do in order to realize that dream? Because really, for a lot of businesses, that is a dream to be able to do.
You have to you have to pay attention to your operating metrics. If you can't get a single location to drive 20% profit at the store level before you add in corporate G&A, you're never going to get any traditional private equity to invest into you.
Yeah.
So you really have to build a model in a way that you can get to at least 20% profitability. And that's, often a challenge in the restaurant industry. And that's why only certain concepts are supposed to grow. And some are, fine just being onesies, twosies.
At the end of the day, when you are looking for money, money really likes the idea of organization and procedures. What was the second Punch Bowl that you opened up?
Yeah. So the second one was in Portland, and that was a bit of an odd deal. I think I would redo it again, but it was a situation where the landlord came to me and offered me 100% of the capital to open up in their center. And it was an odd center, and it's not the typical Punch Bowl real estate profile. But I took the project on because we were early stage, and it struggled for a couple of years, and then it started actually making pretty good money. After about the first 18 months, it really started to throw off consistent cash. But back to your originating question there, when we're trying to scale up, you have to go ahead and make the painful and expensive decision to invest into your personnel infrastructure. Mm-hmm. And that's something I did early. I developed my C-suite at Punch Bowl while I was opening my second location. So I sort of did everything myself for the first one here in Denver. And while I was developing the second location, I started hiring the C-suite, and that's expensive. And you end up having to do a combination of giving away cash or paying cash and equity to people. But it's important. That's the only way you're going to get real capital to follow you, is if you have a real organization developed.
I know it. And so that point to where, the conundrum is you start to ask yourself, well, would I rather have 2% profit off of a $100 million company or 20% profit off of a really well-run $1 million company? That's where it starts getting interesting. When did you, using the term traction, when did you find that you were really accelerating and had that traction? And it must have been a kind of a scary thing as well. He didn't like the question.
No, I'm sure his phone rang.
Yeah. At Punch Bowl, I had traction with Punch Bowl 2 years before I ever opened it. And that's the bizarre truth, that I had some success in my career opening up one-off concepts and had won a number of Best New Restaurant awards. And so when I announced that I was developing Punch Bowl, which was sort of related to some other big box concepts I'd done earlier in my career, the landlord community perked its head up and started paying a lot of attention. And I knew I was onto a winner when I had, effectively a landlord come to me before I ever opened up the first location and offered to completely finance the second location. And that is, that's a surreal moment.
Very interesting.
I'd like to jump in here real quick,
please.
Robert.
What a great conversation.
Your idea around Millennial and Gen Z, are you at all changing gears right now?
Is this the future conversation?
Well,
I don't want to get there yet.
Okay, it's the
Yes,
bridge. Yes, it's sort of the bridge.
All right, let's do that bridge. That's a great moment right now, Brian, and you're really catching on to that. You've been quoted to say, right now is the time for development mode and not the time for asset management mode. I think that that's a really key thing for you to maneuver into the future with the new Project Thompson Growth Group. So that's a great segue. Are you good on time? Can we pause here real quick for a couple of words from local sponsors?
I'm good. I'm having a good time. Let's keep chatting.
That's fantastic. Okay, Robert Thompson here with us. This is fantastic. We kind of just went down memory lane, but I wanted to plumb his brain, Brian, about really how you do that, because Punch Bowl Social always struck me as like very cool concept and then accelerate. It just went for it, right?
Yep.
And you watch that happen. Good or bad in today's climate? I don't know. It's hard to $120 million company screeching to a halt, to a zero, especially in the gathering, the 10 p.m. curfew. There's all kinds of strikes against it to be able to survive. Anyway, clean break off, new project coming up. We're going to break off and talk about that, talk about the future, talk about development mode. What does that mean? Because you need to put a strategy into place and then go. I want to hear about it. Thompson Growth Group, we'll hear about that as we break away and come right back. It is a Monday, August 24th. You're listening and watching The Modern Eater Show.
Hey guys, Chris Johnson here, owner of Rome Sausage, your hyper-local source for all things sausage awesomeness. My family is proud to carry on the fine traditions of Rome's founder, Jerry Rome, by producing a variety of amazing sausage in small batches with an eye on quality, not quantity. Every batch is made here in the great state of Colorado by hand mixing spices, utilizing lean cuts of pork to make an outstanding product. Sourcing ingredients and materials locally, we are committed to supporting local vendors, chefs, restaurants, and the entire Colorado food scene. Getting hungry yet? Brats, Italian, breakfast, hot Polish, green chili, chicken apple, and the world's best chorizo. You can source all of our sausage through a variety of food service distributors. If your distributor doesn't carry it, call us. We'll come direct. You want a custom item? We'll do that too. Samples, and of course, sausage jokes, can be had by contacting me directly at chris@romesausage.com or by phone at 303-296-7663. The Modern Eater loves Rome Sausage, and I know you will too.
Hey, Zach Ryder here, Colorado Mills Sunflower Products out of Lamar, Colorado. Your only local source, grown from a local crop to produce a local oil for local chefs. You can find it at Shamrock Foods, What Chefs Want, Seattle Fish Company. Let me try it one more time, then we'll see. Hey, restaurants, we're glad you're reopening. From Colorado Mills Sunflower Oil, we'll see you soon.
First, we partner with the best farmers in the world, and then we tell them, we will take it all. Process whole spices daily, blend custom spices to order, keep it fresh, safe, and flavorful, all so that you can get back to doing what you do best. So whether you're a restaurant, a food manufacturer, or an at-home cook, be sure to visit The Spice Guy at www.thespiceguyco.com.
Hey guys, with Modern Eater, this is Rich O'Brien with Elevation Food Service Reps. I'm here with one of our sales newly appointed hospitality specialist, Felina Hilliard, and we're here in our showroom, and we've got our bar set up, we've got a lot of china. Come see us, come see what we've got, and Felina can help you guys out in the world of hospitality with anything. Take a little journey into the 38th Avenue kitchen just to see what's going on in here, and as I come in here, I'm noticing Howard, what are you doing? Nothing. Show me, what are you doing?
Nothing.
Nothing? Look at this beautiful equipment in here. Look at this beautiful. Chefs, restaurateurs, anybody that has anything to do with food service, come on over. We'd love to help you with menu development, love to show you everything about equipment, and maybe we'll even have a few pops.
Okay, welcome back, and we'll get back to Robert Thompson in just a moment, formerly Punch Bowl Social and new project, Thompson Growth Group. A great business right here, and I also think that Robert used Jeff Rourke and A Plus Beverage Solutions in a couple of his build-outs. He is the most trusted man in the business, locally owned and operated, a family man, 20 years in the business. He's doing a lot of maintenance stuff right
These
now.
days, yeah.
And just got off the phone with him actually today. He'll make an appearance on Thursday. Jeff Rourke is, again, making your tap dreams become reality, and truly trusted with some of the biggest, baddest build-outs around, but also doing the add-a-line and maintenance type of thing, which is very, very important to any successful business trying to watch their pennies, because pouring inefficient beer does what to you, boys?
Pours your money down the drain.
You don't need to pour your money down the drain right now. You just need to get a hold of Jeff Rourke and A Plus Beverage Solutions. Do like so many. Trust yourself with this man. Give him a call. Here's his phone number, Brian. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
All right, get your pen. 720. This is his cell phone. You can call him right now. If you're out there and you're saying, you know what, I need to add a line. I want a water, a nitro, a coffee, a spirit, whatever.
Kombucha.
Your glycol system needs to be tweaked. He'll do it. He'll send somebody out for you. 720-272-3809.
One more time.
720-272-3809. He's locally owned and operated. He's the man. His name is Jeff Rourke in A Plus Beverage Solutions. Okay, it is a Monday. It's August 24th. And just barreling through this Monday, and we're having a great conversation right now with, in my estimation, a business mind that, listen up. If you've missed any of the show, rewind it, because we kind of talked about the growth of Punch Bowl Social and what that really took to come to scale. Welcome back to the show, Robert Thompson. Robert, thank you. You're in the green room today. Can you hear us, Robert?
Oh, no sound.
No sound.
There's a buzz, and it's very muted.
There's a buzz.
Did that go away?
There it is. Better.
It's better. Fantastic. Okay, Robert Thompson.
It's all good now.
Oh, perfect. Thank you for being patient. Get that squared away on our side. Now, Brian, you wanted to set up a question because I thought it was a good one before the break. Let's go into that conversation as we reinstate formerly Punch Bowl Social and now the new project, Thompson Growth Group.
Yes. And, Robert, thanks again for being on. One of the things that I'm really interested, your strategy. And your strategy goes around the concept of looking for the Millennial and Gen Z. And that was really what helped you build this awesome, company and structure what is a Punch Bowl Social. And like you said, you created this new category really in the food and entertainment world. Given today's landscape, where would your head and mindset be, and are you going to double down on that and go forward with it?
In terms of developing new products.
New products, yeah.
Let's start here. Let's just describe, if you will, Thompson Growth Group and what you're looking to do with that project.
Yeah. So Denver has become, a highly relevant economic market in the country, and it hasn't always been. It's been interesting, and it's been a tourist. People drive through here on the way to the mountains, but now it's relevant in its own regard. And then it also has cultural depth to it now, and the food scene is just really top tier. So Denver doesn't have a restaurant and hospitality restaurant growth product incubator like Phoenix and Scottsdale do with Fox Restaurant Group, and Philadelphia does with Steven Starr's Star Restaurants, in Dallas with Front Burner. And then the grandfather of all incubators is Maggiano's, not Maggiano's as a product, but Let Us Entertain You in Chicago, what Rich Millman brought to life. So Thompson Growth Group is that incubator that'll be based here in Denver, where I will launch new concepts that are growth brands, and it'll provide the infrastructure and the support for these brands that I create get off the ground safely to reach sort of an altitude where they can then catch their own wings and take flight.
Great. So you've got 3 things that you're developing right now. Can we talk about Nobis, Dinette, and Fiona?
Yeah, Nobis is sort of the flashiest one that gets a little bit of the most buzz right now because it's a 40 to 60,000 square foot concept model, and it's an affordable private club oriented for millennials with a private restaurant, private craft cocktail bar, gym, and remote office space. What we know is that big companies around the country are scaling back the requirement to bring people in to work in the office. That's going to be permanent post-COVID. But people have also found they can't work from home 5 days a week. We go nuts. Mm-hmm. So Nobis is your gym. It's your members-only restaurant and club and craft cocktail bar. But it's also that third place that you can go office 2 days a week. And just, it sort of absorbs or becomes part of your whole lifestyle routine on a daily basis.
Wow. Describe what a day would look like in a Nobis.
I could, I guess if I were a consumer, based on the way that I behave, I would show up at 7 a.m. and I would work out, and by 8:30, 8:45, I'd be showered upstairs, standing in line to get a smoothie and a coffee, and I would sit down in one of the remote working spaces and work until lunch, sit down and get a hand roll at the hand roll bar. And then push through the rest of the afternoon there until, you go into, have friends and that are non-members. You're allowed to bring some non-member friends in and have a drink in the craft cocktail bar and dinner thereafter.
Wow.
And can I ask, Robert, are you reserving that? Is that like an office flex? Is that what you're thinking? And are you reserving it, or?
So it's not actually, it's not co-working. Right. It's not, you won't take down exclusive space for yourself for a 30-person company. This is truly individuals that you get this environment to work out of, just as part of your membership dues.
Seems like a very sweet health club. Some of those.
It is, but I want to make it accessible and affordable, hyper hip, right, and culturally relevant, but still accessible. This is not elite.
Now, a lot of times, just necessity, that's invention, right? Do you see this need out? Where is this coming from? This is burning inside of you somewhere. You're seeing this need. Where is it coming from right now?
Yeah. So remember, I talked about the real estate side of it also. That is one of the first 2 pillars. I'll speak to that in a second. But the first piece is just that. So I developed Punch Bowl or Nobis a number of years ago. I just did not find the right time to launch it. And so as I was watching the dynamics form in the COVID environment and then predicting what it's going to look like afterwards, I see this need for folks to have this third place to go and spend time, because it is going to be permanent that large companies they're going to shrink their office footprint and save the money. And then I have a lot of landlord relationships, mostly from my 10 years of growing Punch Bowl, and in understanding the way the big box dynamics work for these landlords and how their Macy's, JCPenney's, Neiman Marcus, and Lord & Taylor have all filed bankruptcy this year. So there is a massive void in the marketplace and capacity issues for these landlords. They need to fill them with 50,000 square foot novices around the country. And so when I put those two things together, that was all I needed to feel. In part, that was the reason to make the decision I did to leave Punch Bowl, because I wasn't just going to leave without a plan. Sure. And I knew that I had a product. I feel about Novus the way I felt about Punch Bowl in 2010.
Wow. That's strong. So with this concept development that's been in your mind for a while, and you just have to look to, okay, when's the iron ready? You know, when can we strike on this thing? Are you betting on the roll that there's going to be some great opportunities out there real estate-wise, or did you already have that lined up? What's the real estate climate look to you? You mentioned a few of these larger shutdowns, but I think it's going to be bountiful out there.
Yeah, it's I'm sort of allowing the mystery to unfold in front of me on this, because I think it's what I'm seeing is that the real estate opportunities are only getting better. The longer we wait, the better they will be. I'm looking at space in Miami, Denver, Montreal, Vancouver, and LA. I hope that I could get the first one open here in Denver. That's actually what I'm shooting for.
Any secrets you want to tell us? Any secrets you want to tell us?
We're not there yet.
So, Robert, it's interesting, though, because listening to you on paper and just in concept, this is like a home run. Like, it's a no-brainer.
Is it right now? I mean,
but that's
assuming COVID goes
the other
away.
side
Right.
of that. That's what he's touching on health clubs, which are one of the big targets, restaurants, which are one of the big targets, and then like entertainment as a whole.
See, now it could be genius to have this develop during this time to where everything kind of water finds its own level and may sink to the bottom. And again, it struck me when you said the Great Recession is when you started to develop Punch Bowl Social. This is really actually very interesting, Robert, how you are betting that life will go back as normal sometime in 2021, to be able to take a concept that is very much so a community concept.
Yeah. I'm a glass 3/4 full guy, maybe more so than half full. And there is a bright side in everything. I mean, look, my company just got wiped out, and I'm one of the victims of COVID. And I didn't lose a loved one. There are people that lost far more, emotional connections in their life related to COVID. But I'm an economic victim of this thing. Something I put 10 years into got effectively caught COVID and died. And I'm sitting here saying, this is a great time to be developing new product. And that's all I know how to do. I don't know how to look backwards.
Development mode. Let's move on to Dinette, if you would. Dinette Fine Foods.
Dinette is this is my quirky, really fun, but big scale opportunity product. It's an all-day concept, breakfast, lunch, dinner, small box, 3,500 square feet, extreme design forward environment, open kitchen.
What does that mean? Extreme design forward environment. What does that mean? That's nothing other than my nomenclature for saying we're putting a lot of energy into the design. Gotcha. It's important to us. Okay. And when it's a small box, we can sort of go heavy. I jokingly refer to it as an urban Waffle House for Gen Z and millennials. And the differentiation point of it is that it's going to lean into 26% delivery. And we know, and this is sort of an odd example because it's not the type of restaurant that I develop, but Denny's, which is just, this institutionalized, not very exciting, culinary concept. But what they figured out is that people love to come in for breakfast and lunch to that type of, to a diner type concept. They don't want to come in for dinner. But Denny figured out that
people will order delivery at dinner from those types of places. They're almost embarrassed to go into a Denny's at night. That they'll go there for breakfast. And I think that if we position it from a real estate standpoint in highly dense, multifamily, millennial and Gen Z heavy trade areas, we will get that dinner traffic that might normally wane off, in the PM hours for a concept like this. And so we'll be able to drive outsized revenue because we'll get what we're going to get at breakfast and lunch, and then we'll get sort of this syrup on top of to-go traffic in the PM.
And you see that as a nationwide scaled brand?
I think it's a 200-unit concept.
Whoa.
I think, I will start by putting 3 or 4 in the greater Denver area. But it is I think it's it's the smallest box, but the highest number of units of anything that I'm working on.
Do you find Denver to kind of be your, epicenter or ground zero for these types of concepts for proof?
I do now. Because there's been so much migration here, and I think Denver is a great slice of America because it's not just, the folks from the Rocky Mountain West. It's, I know as many people in Denver that are from New York as I do that are from Denver or the surrounding states.
Interesting.
So I think it's a great little, beaker dish for trying to put things together.
Fiona, please tell us about Fiona.
Fiona is a different version of experiential F&B than Punch Bowl. It does no gaming. It has no activations like that. But experiential F&B is something that to experience an activity like bowling, or to experience something that's an aroma or art, while you're dining and drinking in a restaurant, that transforms it into experiential. And Punch Bowl is an experiential food and beverage product. Fiona is one in a different different part of the restaurant spectrum. It's a polished casual concept that with a better for you culinary component. And because I'm going to have an in-house baker as part of the program, I'm able to make fresh bread every day and make fresh pastries every day. So there will be a coffee program that starts at 6:30 or 7 a.m. with fresh pastries. And then at 11 o'clock, we'll open up an artisanal sandwich counter using the fresh bread as we, then we get into the lunch and then eventually the dinner service of this polished casual restaurant. But the thing that sort of binds it together and makes it experiential is we're going to put a florist right in the middle of the restaurant. So that's where these experiences start to come in. So you're going to walk in the door, and so you're going to be invaded by the aromas of this flower shop when you first walk into the door. So that is, I think, going to be a really neat, esoteric type restaurant experience, which I think it's not a 200-unit growth product, but it might be 10 or 15.
With the last couple of minutes here with Robert Thompson talking about the Thompson Growth Group. These are really cool. One thing that really strikes me as you've went down the list with Nobis, Dinette, and Fiona, I'm not seeing any direct competition to Punch Bowl Social. Was that on purpose? Was that a legal thing? Were you asked to be out of that space? Do you have a non-compete? It's striking that you're not going after that space right now.
It's an interesting question, and I actually left Punch Bowl with no non-compete, so I am permitted to legally, contractually, permitted to get back into the category, and I haven't ruled that out. It's just I know that if I talk about that, that becomes the only headline. So, Thompson launches, competitive brand to the company he founded in Denver 10 years ago. So I don't have a plan yet for that, but it is on the table.
Robert, what is that? What is the one accomplishment that you're most proud of throughout this?
that I believe in my heart of hearts that I have helped multiple of my teammates that developed Punch Bowl with me, sort of gain access to this theoretical restaurant Hall of Fame. Like, we've created something that was so special, so differentiated. We defined a category, and the resume that some of my people built by helping put this thing together and scaling it the way that we did, of a concept model that didn't exist in this manner until we built it. That I'm really proud. I think there's going to be I think a lot of my people are going to have brilliant careers of their own using Punch Bowl as that springboard.
Oh, wow.
Congratulations.
Man, I'll tell you what, as you forge your way into the future and the charge seems to be behind you, you're going to need a lot of money, my friend. Is there anybody, money, where are you going to get the money? Is there can people get in on these types of things? Lots of investors watch the show.
Yeah, it's a funny thing to say, but raising capital isn't that hard once you figure out the formula. But raising the right capital is hard. Making sure that you're partnering with the right people. And I've taken a lot of pride over the years in being able to be selective and bring in the right types of capital partners that are accretive to the organization, to the brand, and to the ultimate mission. So I'm in capital mode, but it's as much searching as much as it is really vetting through the right type of capital discussions.
What do you want to leave us with? Thank you for the just wonderful interview, Robert Thompson. I appreciate it.
I'm just proud to launch this incubator in Denver. I think Denver deserves a national incubator, and if I'm fortunate enough to put it together and have success, then it'll just help add to sort of the trophies that we have here, as Denver and the national restaurant map.
In an undisclosed location somewhere in Denver, there he is, Robert Thompson, in his green room attic. It was a pleasure catching up with you today, Robert, and we would love to stay in contact with you as the weeks and months ahead come by.
Thanks, guys. Good show.
You bet. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Robert.
That was a good one. Up next, we have him standing by. Juan Padro's going to join us.